Hi. Okay, so I've been going in between different thoughts, and I somehow, within hours, have written many, many notes, and more than what I have time to go through. So let me see how I want to organize this for you as a talk. All right. The thing that I would like to address is New World thought, alchemy, or New World thought, divine alchemy, social alchemy, what have you, and the principles for this project initiative that we have at Social Alchemy Project, Access Management. Okay, so the first thing that we understand is you first have to implement tone, music, sound, because of high frequencies, and messages you get through music is a turn on things that are happening in your right and your left hemispheres. Not just right mind, but also left brain. In the temporal, fleeting, and transitory reality that you have, you can use music to help prepare your moment as to silencing the mind and going beyond self-perception, actualization, and actually experience the heart opening up into eternity and joy. And this is something that will start with your spiritual practice of the first principle that we're always looking at is the spiritual practice principle of practicing gratitude. And in that there is full transparency society in a translucent social psychology, what have you. The next thing that pulls you down is you have to identify the pretend. And when you identify the pretend, you're able to go into what illusion/delusion means for you and your coping, okay? When you are not hiding from certain trauma, what is the pretend? What is the dream that you go to? My hair is clean, I just have like coconut oil in it. So, and I need to cut it. The next thing that pulls us into principle is, let's get straight to the work. Okay, we haven't even began the work by just those two things. But now this allows us to step into the work, and that is address the fear component, the hate, the jealousy, the cheating, the backstabbing, the gossip that we have in our culture. And basically it's an approval culture. If you don't get approved to the right school, you can't have the right education. If you can't get the right education, then you can't move into the right neighborhood or afford the house that you're purchasing. Now, in my lecturing, I am going with Intuitive Thinking as a Spiritual Practice by Rudolf Steiner. And he is the founder of basically anthroposophic thought, or we also call it Classics of Anthroposophy, for you to get the spelling. Do you see that? Classics in Anthroposophy. Okay. This is one of the books, Intuitive Thinking as a Spiritual Path, a Philosophy of Freedom, because we have a misuse of freedom, liberty, human rights, and we're busy increasing STDs in the gay community. So freedom is a really important topic that we talk about when we get into our awareness workshops, the esoteric consciousness experience, and of course spiritual avoidance of certain things, and for you to have your screening and go through the gauntlet and the thinking of our learning society, not only a men's social justice studies with a social alchemy component, but a learning center for the mind in social justice education, the re-engineering of the way we think and perceive morality, law, philosophy, arts, letters, and sciences. So, morality will include, of course, your religion. And a lot of people get stuck on the religion component. So in the principles that we're talking about, we go with everything bringing you into freedom. Now I have amazing, amazing notes. And let's go. Now, after I kind of went through some of the principles, and that's an introduction to, you know, what I'm teaching you in our workbooks for the future. But let me get to Social Alchemy Project Access Management. In order for us to make even a presidential campaign directed much better, you have to acknowledge everything from here on everything here on out. Excuse me, I have to put it. It's interesting. I barely speak. Everything here on out has to do with technology. Okay, so in the mental illness invasion culture of social justice filmmaking, you have landmark cities that we're trying to work from off of, and that are places like London, of course, Beverly Hills, which is central, San Francisco, Armenia, Italy, Rome, Mexico, Berlin, New York, Manhattan, San Francisco, Santa Barbara, Montecito, perhaps, San Luis Obispo, perhaps. But we have a very, you know, the voice of LA, the voice of Los Angeles, the voice of Obispo, and the alchemy and the change that we get in the freedom when we start practicing gratitude. We use music, tone, in the translucentness, and looking at the pretend, the fantasy, the delusions, and addressing fear and the normal things that we go through in our normal life. The new political party, many people will say, you know, post Donald J. Trump, is going to be a black gay male leadership. And let's prepare ourselves for that, people, with filthy, gorgeous, nutritious, your treasure chest is in the core of your sleep. And so in your bed, you should raise it, and you should have storage underneath your mattress of the most important things that matter to you, because it's absurdist, dark, physical community, satire, parody, poetry, original lyricism, poetry, emotional dialogue, what have you, that we're using in the artistic build, which is, of course, sound that I use, music, tone. And you know, we have very clingy sissies and very needy, lost girly boys. And people want a vanity address like Beverly Hills or any of these major places. And to talk about things like nutrition, empowerment, your politics, I have to put it interesting, I can barely speak, your politics, and how people, men, are terrorized, and you need filming and you need technology to go ahead and bring that freedom forward that we're learning about anthroposophy. Now, in the filming and everything that we're doing to address anti-corruption, human greed, disabling, all the different social issues that we find out, the social theories as well, the original theories, the scholar-practitioner work, the humane life sustainability, all the things that we're talking about as rhetoric in a world that's being controlled by gender Hollywood, okay? And will always be closeted, many gay men to a large point. So the little work that we can begin here with social alchemy and your change, using freedom and using gratitude and using heart as we're looking at filming and how technology is going to bring your work forward. You have people that are in your team that are going to be sick, that are able to write on topics like fatherlessness, absent fathers, lost sons. And that little work that we begin is a significant work for new schools of thought because we are contributing to your household composition. We're getting your mind straight so that you can adequately go out there and make honest money as men and women and children to end the fears of homelessness, but yet in your freedom keep your spontaneity and the teaching of manners to yourself, and to think and to understand where you find yourself when you stand here and look into your own gaze and your own shadow. Now, in reality shock rock television, people these days are not really shocked by the shock rock. And so in reality shock rock TV showings, YouTube, what have you, physical comedy, gay with hot studs, girly boys and sissies, everything flaunt, flirt, stand and model, stand out for quality is really important because it's a mental illness, social justice filming production, so to speak, company. And we're looking for hard bodies, muscular gay men, but we're bringing them into not only their worship for muscles, but we're also bringing them into a type of Tyler Hamilton Playgirl, Beverly Hills Mansion and Estates shows, Tyler Hamilton shows, entertainment, the Pink Lord, because I'm working off of a lot of pink. This here is one of the capes that came from out of Ziegfeld's capes, which was a half-body cape, and now it's becoming shoulder-to-shoulder in the back cape. But let me show it to you so you kind of get an idea of the work that we've began. So this is a very, very long cape, and it's not that easy to see. So let me kind of try to show as much as possible. It's not going to be able to be a very clear picture, but you'll kind of get an idea of how ornate this is in sequins and velvet and you know, feathers and things like this. Whoa, 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 whoa. Feathers and you know, this is really first of its kind. You don't really see how the grandeur of this is very clusterfuck, you know, in the studio, in the designing. But we're getting where we need to be in the work. Now, that being stated, I have another note. We're getting kind of into the show right now, so let me kind of get back to you on this. So, what we have is, we basically have this advertisement campaign that we're running in order to find an editor. Now, if you have an editor for film, video, most likely your editor is married to a woman or has friends that likes to be filmed. And so the editor knows something about shooting the film because the editor is specialized in filming. So the editor would obviously pick up their own camera and do filming and try out different things before they would go into actual editing software. So instead of finding eye candy or the muscular models in the gay community, or even a producer or even a filmer, the first thing that we realize is that all people have their own smartphones. So everybody knows something about filming, so you don't have to actively go out there and find a filmer. But you can actively go out there and find somebody that knows something about editing, because editing and lighting and sound and everything that involves scripting and texting and title page and closing credits and things like this, including also your branding and your trailer or your little jingle at the beginning of each show, or the, you know, the close of the show, where you know, there's pertinent information. So you know, this goes beyond, you know, deciding on the type of font that you want. Okay, so we're doing a #1 gay men's nude nude optional, kind of silent / philosophical religious retreat here. And that's where that's going to springboard the university, social alchemy project access management, dialogue, the church, and there'll be many here congregating and talking about the social alchemy project platform. And then that conversation will segue into Living It Up, which is the actual show that I'm producing for. In the show, I'm producing another show. Living It Up is a YouTube TV show, reality TV show, maybe / short movie for its submissions to Park City, Utah, once a year because of the Robert Redford's Independent Film Festival or whatever. So this whole cape, in fact, if I go down, you might be able to see more of how it's a very complex cape, but I can't really see that well. So you have like this mentally ill gay men in love with Cruise in the show, Living It Up, producing the show called Crazy Me for Tom Cruise. It's featuring operetta. But the men that are part of this in the apartment are centered in Beverly Hills. There is compensation. Sometimes we'll be paying them, the workers, per hour. Sometimes it'll be just compensation, free food, YouTube exposure, weed, and discs of the recording. The question that we're asking all the editors that we're looking for before we begin producing is, what is your dream? To become famous as a gay icon because of Tyler and Hamilton? Will those with beautiful muscular bodies and faces will be seen on YouTube for free? We'll also introduce their names to a handful of celebrities. But that all comes off of finding our editor. Now, the editor might work for free or might not, but when we get to what the editor / filmer wants to be editing, because we're letting it be their decision, not just Social Alchemy Project, or the Tyler Hamilton social justice films, or the mental illness social justice filming. But it's just a very give and take, and everything's a win-win with all the people we're working with. So, once the editor / filmer tells us what they want to film and what they want to work with this type of environs, then we can go ahead and start looking at how much we're going to pay to certain body types. I don't know, free weed maybe is a little bit more important than money. So are you, wanting to show off your torso or your waist or your shoulders and want to be in the movies, and you want it to come easy to you because, you want to be gay Beverly Hills Bitches member. The money for your time is very important, and so compensation is always going to be discussed on a as-need, comfort level basis, because sometimes we're going to have to negotiate with contractors. Be very open to mental illness in a men's community, needing support and needing people to be compassionate and kind and not to rip them up and throw them out of relationships, friendships, or jobs. But we need to be good about this because collectively we're all trying to make a difference. See, my hair needs to be thinned out a little bit. It's a men's movement. We're doing a lot of politicking, and it's to help people to be compassionate and kind and empathetic to the issues, to help dudes that can't help themselves, and to self-produce themselves, and teaching them that we can do that with the Mr. Nude Palm Springs, Mr. Nude Beverly Hills, Mr. Nude Pismo Beach, Mr. Nude Santa Barbara. We're also going to even have a Hamilton shaving center or shaving store, or maybe there's the Tyler and Hamilton Cannabis Compassionate Care, Your Problem Solved Dispensary. So there's different ideas that we can play with in the show that we're going to be in dialogue with with actors slash real members. Are you an aspiring filmmaker, producer? Well, all we need is an amateur editor. It's not too hard to figure out lighting when you have a dark room, correct? Our actors need to be fit. They could be mentally ill, non-porn. We don't want anybody partied up, partial nudity, medicinal cannabis, not an issue. But everybody gets to own their own drama, and people are going to be asked if they want to be famous for being some hot male that knows how to think on their feet. And you have brains. And you can run with the rich and the elegant groups of fit gay dudes. And you're not insecure. So that's important. In a democratic consensus of actors, I'm really working off of just the democratic consensus of working with maybe a couple of filmers and maybe a couple of editors or one editor. I want all the emphasis to be on our editing, because editing is so important. Anybody can just turn on a camera and just put it on the side of the room or zoom in on people. But the editor knows about certain angles that they want in the filming production of it. So the editor will be able to work with maybe their own camera on filming certain angles that they wish to encompass. So we have a democratic consensus of actors, producers, filmers, editors, tech support. And, you know, we want to offer, you know, a paid 4-hour training if we can, but, you know, nobody's paying us. Do you see what I'm saying? So we don't have anybody paying us. So those that see what we have to offer, they can look around, size it up, sniff around, and then decide that they want to work with what I have established for the greater arts. You know, to be part of a gay men's reality TV / YouTube show is about dialing into heart-driven, passion-based issues with fierceness. Public figure, public personalities, star personalities, dealing with mental illness themselves, self-hatred, feelings of being lost, drug abuse, Weinstein or what have you, or Corey Feldman with his registered sex offenders. So in the lost identity and people being alone and feeling lonely, and being a man, Tyler Hamilton, it's almost like kind of like a multi-level marketing approach. You know, if you tell your friends about it, everybody gets free baklava by Tyler, by myself. And we're here to pave us forward and to pay us forward to change the world through Social Alchemy Project, ultimately web development. Social justice education and academics for justice studies for men, and it creating social science research on men and change, alchemy. This is really the heartbeat of the Tyler Hamilton University College of Social and Behavioral Sciences. And all this stuff, again, is owned and operated by Social Alchemy Project, Access Management. So the project is very vast as a social science organization, of course. So you have muscles, and do you want to be famous? Do you want to last a lifetime? Do you want to be part of an important work, such as what we're creating to help gay men? Be in a group of muscular guys playing gay friends and gay workers in this space in Beverly Hills, and to have your name submitted to celebrities and get into the politics using your fame. Most everybody is going to have their own camera, know something about their best size and their best wardrobe. So basically, come as you are, but hey, No Perfect People Allowed. Interviews, filming opportunities, YouTube to market yourself with Tyler Hamilton. You know, I would like a several month commitment by the guys, but you know, some of these people might be very moody because of their own mental illness. So, to show the pretend and the delusion theory kind of thing, and my other social science theories, and cock and culture theory, and financial insecurity problems that pushes the cock money issues forward, people try to maintain their money hard-ons, but it's related to lying to the IRS. So people can't wrap their minds around the criminality. So the original social science theories that I'm creating, the cultural mediocrity theory, not just the cock and culture theory, which I'm going to be most famous for, but hell, the bad luck theory, the black good luck path theory, where doing bad and being black means good luck. And it's the new political parties. So in the show, you have my estate jewelry, you have my furniture, you have my designs, and thank you truly, the original costume wardrobe attire that I'm wearing. Everything is rated R. And get into your free class, whatever that's going to look like, with your cannabis self-governed independent counseling sessions through what we offer you for tools. You know, your life coaching, motivational accountability life coaching, your motivational accountability life coaching services that you draw off of at the project, or the giant balloon about out, you know, coming out of your closet. The allotment for food and gas and lodging, like I'm saying, is going to be there. But I need to know if people want to go out there and act like they're worthy of gratuity and tips. And there might be extra money that comes in. Non-prostitutional, thank you very much. So, be a bitch cunt fairy today, you know. Very girly boy, sissies, the ginger boys, the twinks, that's a whole different subject because they're very derogatory terms used. But, you know, not just the muscular guys, but hey, you know, my vagina, my vagina, my vagina is so loose. So anyone that's wild, my little cunt, my little cunt, my little baby cunt. You know, anybody that this has been your mantra. I know it sounds very shock rock, very crass, very underclassed, very curt, but we're not doing this to offend and go beyond YouTube community guidelines. But in a community where we've had the vagina monologues, pardon me, I have to put in my dentures for barely speak. We've had the vagina monologues, and you know, there's been a lot of nonprofit organization work done around the SARP work, the Sexual Assault Recovery Prevention Center, the Me Too movement, the women's shelter, the men against domestic violence, and walking down the street wearing women's heels. We have a lot of things like that happening, and people are running around saying they want to be, you know, the quote-unquote bitch cunt. Or they want to come on. This is the term that gay men are using, even in literature. It's in the literature, you know. Gay men that are still being discriminated against feel like, and excuse my French, I'm just reporting it back to you, but the modern niggers. So the rhetoric that's coming out is very aggressive and is very committed to helping people reinstate themselves by their anger, post-Donald J. Trump, post-LGBTQ, post whether abortion is right or wrong, post-9/11. The American life has arguments to the money system and the political disturbances of talking about what it means to have psychological masculinity or national male identity, when we have had all this opinionated judging of someone on one side saying to the other side, drain the swamp, but their own swamp on their side actually gets drained. So both swamps get drained. That's basically the social climate for people. Now I'm looking at you know, a logo. We're looking at branding, the Tyler and Hamilton Company, which is Social Alchemy Project Access Management, also known as Social Alchemy Project. Tyler and Hamilton Productions, mental illness, social justice filming, social entrepreneurship, business, thumbnails for each video, filmmaking. I mean, I have people in China and Mexico that are trying to provide me unsolicited proposals of the icons and the logos and the branding that certain countries think I should be working off of. So filmmaking and editing and directing, you know, the movie work aspect of us involves writing that's going to segue into our management of client marketing systems and appointment scheduling issues and internet websites management and having a Tyler and Hamilton creative team, a collaborative collaboration, Radiant Social Alchemy project. So these are really keen things for .com, .org, Twitter, Facebook, not just YouTube or email or Instagram or narcissistic, depending on my digits, I can barely even speak. Narcissistic rhetoric, what have you, about selfies and look at me, look at me. We are painting a magical, like, reality for men that want to be what they want to be in their sensitivity, and that might be a magical fairy, or it might be your own alchemist, or it might be a gay militant activist, or it might be an architect, or a singer, but an artist that looks at our social and behavioral sciences and what we could do with the anger and the trauma. Now, I don't know if he still wants to consider himself my friend, but Paul Abramson is very famous. I helped him out with doing some narrative work for his life story musical called The Saint of Fucked Up Karma in Santa Barbara when he was on sabbatical in Santa Barbara from UCLA. He teaches at UCLA. He's called the Sexpert because he handles law enforcement cases that have to do with children being molested by police officers or sheriff departments during these camps that they have to rehabilitate these boys. So with his wife, Paul Abramson, he created a class called something like Anger, Trauma, and Art at UCLA. And, you know, if we could segue that type of idea into, well, otherwise he would be segueing his idea to what we're doing. But that's the whole thing, is looking at your writing or your poetry or your creative new politicized party, or your owning the right to yourself to be educated, and will help you with our university, the masculinist theorem, with other theories. You know, the mind of pleasure and temporal and fleeting and transitory and anti-corruption, human greed disabler. These things is what goes with your social justice education, prevalence and democratic promotion without force, the public health and the social psychology and the brain and cognitive science, and knowing how sound affects the brain and how our mirror neurons are triggered. So in the social arts theory is that the arts in men's behavior modification is of keen importance because of cock and culture theory and of the other works that I'm authoring and publishing and lecturing on that are directly related to SEDs. So Tyler Hamilton, the image in the filming, kind of behind the scenes or what have you, or the Tyler Hamilton show, or why we're creating the ad for Social Alchemy Project Access Management to draw in editors, is because Tyler Hamilton is kind of like the Hugh Hefner of the Playboy Mansion, but it's kind of like the Playgirl Mansion gay community type of little stereotype. Men want to be provided for, and men are very honorable, but when they're caught doing something wrong and put in the corner, and they're trapped with limits, they become very angry and violent. And we know that even about gay men. So in the Tyler Hamilton music, fine arts, and theater performances, and the Tyler Hamilton Jazz Trio, and what have you, things I've talked about, you're walking into arts that are directly linked to put in dentures, I could barely speak, linked to this whole alchemist theoretical perspective, if you will. Men, let me be really honest with you. Men are hungry, thirsty, and they want hungry, thirsty filming, mental illness, social justice filming, and they want to bring people to the right place. And that place needs to be a safe place to be different with unique voice. And that's what we're doing. John Downey III talks about that, who is best friends with Della Reese at church. He's getting his doctorate of divinity. But the salutations and the welcome and the social graces and the gauntlet and the orientation of all the workers involved with this genesis of alchemy, initial treatment, after orientation or awareness workshop, gets very passionate for people. Because people, when they take things personal, it's political. They want people in leadership positions, such as myself, to advocate and do something about problems. This is why, you know, Amy Goodman or what's Amy Goodman for Democracy Now, and you know, are learning about what we're trying to do. So how do you want to be understood on the planet Earth and be known for when you are no longer here? Okay, how will you be celebrated? In what form are you using yourself in your mind and you're saying, I am promotable? Okay. You are made to last. And what if I was HIV pause? Would I be a people that wouldn't get so much bad and rude comments from mean-spirited people in the cultural milieu of protecting your shadows of prejudice? Just putting it out there, because it's a naughty culture and people are not nice. And it's important to organize your ideas, and we're going to help you do that when you let us know what you want, what your dreams are. We'll get beyond the fears using our different forms of art as treatment and expressive therapy. You will see the continuity that you have in your own organization and mental illness, if that's what you have. Now, like I've stated, a lot of psychologists are doing writing on this in the literature about how most people and how folks are much so, suffering from mental illness. I could barely even get the words straight out. It's because I have these are like people on my list that I call, boom, flash, boom. And about half of them that I just flashed you are rejecting me because I'm getting closer and closer to putting it into those that don't have a voice and giving them a voice, no matter if they've been sexually mistreated in Hollywood, if they hate their lives and they have the looks of poverty and homelessness and they are broke for whatever reason. The only thing that matters, at least for them, is to be of a New World man-thinking community that is spiritual. Intuitive thinking as a spiritual path. This is next to the principles I gave you before we started this video portrayal. Addressing fear, practice gratitude, identifying the pretend, the illusion, the delusion, using sound, having transparency. All those things are important to the theory that we're working on, that I've given you, that's from my heart and my own constructing, but with Rudolf Steiner, who is a gold mine for you, and you're going to learn more about that as you go in a relationship with us. You have to see past your own LGBTQ, whatever. You need to see beyond your own happiness or your happiness or unhappiness. You need to be post-Renaissance even. You need to go beyond what they were doing in Renaissance days. And you really have got to allow yourself the anthroposophy of what we're going to be giving you sooner than later. Because, see, religion is not stuck up with spiritually egotistical practitioners. Okay? It's about not only your U.S. federal government learning certain virtues, but for your own self-awareness and for your own alchemy, your own change. And in the post-Renaissance and the being a self-created man, like I'm going to help you do, there are answers to your questions. And you must always be asking challenging questions with a parallel inquiry to really what Social Alchemy Project is foreseeing through their prophecy, their fortune tellers, their psychic readers, their tea leaf readers. You know, we have a lot of different people coming out and really going into our social welfare campaign, so to speak, because people want to change their hate to love. And the changing society is involving men that don't settle, that pursue excellence because they are social philosophers. And this is why I am bringing in the anthroposophy. Now, I haven't done this, the anthroposophy in the filmmaking, but it's going to be pretty important because you're organizing your ideas and you are willing to see the pretend, the fantasies, the delusion, the fraud. You're willing to practice gratitude and have a curiosity streamline of what we are now these days trending our little booties into. And that is looking differently at what religion states and going into the high caliber of you as a servant leader, a point leader, and to give you opportunity to produce your arts and have something to be proud of. I love you, and like I always say, in person and online. Excuse the hair, you know, kind of in process, but people, in all non-hypeness and non-bipolar whatever. Gosh, my hair is horrible. You put some brown in it. I have a little bit of gray, but as Harvey Milk, I will take the bullet for you. I love you to prove my love. I'm not actively looking for the bullet, and I'm not inviting the bullet. This is not a threat to my life. And no, I'm not suicidal. People, all you men, why are you thinking about committing suicide when you're already the walking wounded and you already feel dead? Is that true? So enjoy the oxygen while you have it. But things are moving forward, and you know, one guy got it right. They put him on the cross. I am not claiming to be Jesus or be nearly as sacred as the Christ, but we all have the sacred, and so do you. And with love, in this very moment, if I was to die for this faith and this voice, and getting people to make sense out of their orientation persuasions, and not to hate themselves, and not to have inner homophobia, and get away with increasing STDs and sex trafficking, and not welcoming an energy center for all men in Los Angeles to address all of the sexually broken and the people that have been hurting people through all the assaults. We are here as the alchemists, as men that ask women even to forgive us, and even other men that have been betrayed or misused by other men, as an ethical, welcoming collective consciousness. And we're using film to show this, that's possible in culture, through community, in this home, that you could take the bullet. Okay, you can say, life has been good because I have learned to be honest, and I can laugh at myself, and I am a man of my word, and I can help men help themselves, because it's about being fishers of men and discipling men and caring for the soul of men and doing the work of the soul. I love you, and I look forward to sharing more details about Social Alchemy Project, access management, and all that it's involving. God bless you.